Hello, everyone. In today's presentation, we wanted to discuss the relationship between power and management. To quote Marcus Buckingham, people leave managers, not companies, and we wanted to explain how different elements in relation to power can make someone not want to show up for work. I'm going to be discussing how individuals in power can create toxic work environments. Specifically, I would like to focus on how exploitation, abusive behavior, pseudo-transformation, and discrimination affects employees. Exploitation refers to using unfair treatment in order to benefit from someone else's work. That could look like repetitive overtime without proper compensation, disproportionate workloads, and mismanagement of employee time. An example of that would be scheduling someone on days you agreed as a manager would be off limits when you hired them. For abuse, I would like to focus on a study done by Shaker Milham, and he aims to examine if abusive supervision had indirect negative outcomes. He found that employees subjected to abuse are more likely to avoid management gaze, refraining from certain behaviors that can draw attention. This causes problems because employees feel it isn't useful to report problems due to fear of apathy and abuse. Pseudo-transformational management is a type of strategic leadership that places value in personal gain rather than organizational improvement. It's not uncommon per se, but the problem lies in the fact that no positive workplace change comes from this, as negative behaviors such as manipulation and coercion are used as tools. An example of this would be someone overworking their team for good results in a promotion, so things look good on paper, but the employees are worse off because of policies and expectations put in place as a result. Lastly, we have discrimination. Harassment is one of the quickest and most damaging ways to make an environment toxic and often comes with hefty consequences if checked. Employees may face discrimination and harassment in the forms of race, age, sex, religion, age, weight, and a lot more, really, but these are just the bigger ones. I have another study for you guys. It's called Discrimination in the Workplace. It was done in 2015 and it's regarding weight based discrimination. They found that while BMI is far from perfect, hiring managers still hesitate to hire overweight people, and that's often due to stereotypes in which they assume they'll have lower production. This hiring model is just not sustainable on moral or practical grounds.
Clique culture. How can we prevent it and how is it damaging? So we'll be talking about cliques, nepotism, and the hostile work environment. So the first one is cliques. And that's just a small group of people who spend their time together and do not welcome other people into the group. They're very exclusive in the way they communicate, socialize, and even work. It's a very us versus them mentality. And how does this relate to the workplace? So according to a study done by Patricia O'Neill Foster, cliques are a natural occurring phenomenon and have been demonstrated to have adverse effects. These can lead to negative behaviors, which in turn affect organizational effectiveness. She found that those who were not part of a clique felt excluded, undervalued, had less opportunities and access to information. Many felt this affected their creativity and motivation. So that's the first one. The second one we're going to focus on is nepotism. So that's the act of promoting and appointing family and relatives in favor over others. This can be very damaging in the workplace as these people placed in these roles may not be equipped to handle these roles because they lack the skills or qualifications. It can very hurt the organization and cause destructive workplaces. It can be very discouraging to your top talent. You might not even retain the people who are your top talent, and they might move on. And that in turn erodes into a company's ability to build teams authentically. Third negative behavior is the hostile work environment. So unlike the previous two, this can actually become illegal as it is a form of harassment. And examples you see below, you see there's just a few examples, a handful of what a hostile work environment is, which according to the Department of Labor is the result of an unwelcome conduct of anyone that you relate to at work, which may be supervisors or coworkers. And the unwelcome conduct renders the workplace atmosphere intimidating, hostile, and offensive. But when does it become illegal? When does it violate the law? So the first part is the conduct must be unwelcome and based on the victim's protected status, such as your sexual orientation. And the second, the conduct must be subjectively abusive to the person affected and objectively severe and pervasive enough to create a work environment that a reasonable person would find hostile or abusive. So it just becomes so unbearable that a reasonable person would be like, okay, I'm leaving. It's pretty much what it says. But how do we combat these behaviors? So for Clicks, by understanding the negative behavior and mindset surrounding it, organizations would have a better understanding of their influence. This in turn may lead to positive change in the workplace. And for nepotism, if they create a very open, transparent hiring and selection process for promoting and even just hiring, it can build trust with the organization because people will be able to see how, what the steps are, and even allowing an outside department to be involved in this process would help people and not cause, distrust within the organization. And then for the hostile work environment, that would be limit the misconduct through policies. This will prevent this conduct from getting to the point where it's actionable under the law. But these are just three of the negative behaviors that our organizations deal with. But that is it for my section as we move on to the next section.
Consequences of poor management. Some of the consequences of poor management that I will be discussing is the topic of high turnover and low productivity, the legalities, lawsuits, legal issues, and the reputation damage. While researching, I did find that there is a direct relationship between employees and their organization, which primarily goes through their human resource department. I did think that this was important for multiple different reasons. The relationship between the human resource department and employees helps to maintain, establish, and create boundaries between employees and a company. It is important for a company and organization to make sure that they are operating ethically, legally, but all the while efficiently. High turnover and what are the causes of high turnover? Some of the main things that I found were causes of high turnover are things such as low pay, which is just the compensation for their work time and efforts, little to no benefits, or also the sense that employees' feelings, emotions, and so forth was not valued enough. All of these things keep employees at a job. Average national pay, is always expected at least. I think most people like to have a little above if possible, but then always benefits offered, such as all the PTO, incentive pay, insurance, and then just their overall emotional needs to be fulfilled, so that they feel that they are a valued employee. Turnover is something that all organizations will experience at some time, but I feel like the severity of the turnover is what is actually noticed. I feel like at some point every organization will have somebody leave to find a new job that possibly better fits their situation, such as personal aspects, schooling, experience, just a new job that pays better, maybe closer to home, anything like that. But I do feel like when a mass of employees leave within a short period or even a long period of time, it can reflect badly on the organization and how it is operating, just because this shows that a high percentage of employees were unsatisfied with the organization and their jobs. So within a large corporation and business, there is a high risk of legal issues that may arise or be brought to attention. And one major concept that was brought to attention was performance reviews. I stated in an article, by making the evaluation process as objective and transparent as possible, though employers can reduce the chances of being sued while still providing helpful feedback for employees. So basically, they do need to provide their performance reviews just so that employees know where the employer stands with how satisfied they are with their work. But just make sure that it's strictly business, clear and precise. Make sure that there's no biased or opinionated thoughts or comments made to kind of keep away from those ethical and legal issues that can arise, and make sure that you are offering either a recorded or a handwritten copy to the employee, and keeping one as an employer so that if it's ever brought up in a court of law, there is evidence on both ends. Reputation damage within a corporation. I feel like social media goes hand in hand with today's society. People are able to post reviews, opinions, feedback immediately, and put that out there for the whole world to see. And this can quickly lower a rating and change a reputation of an organization. I did want to look at this from 3 different standpoints: customer, employee, and corporation. With customer, this does affect the markets and buying trends, as these are the people who post the reviews and put their opinions based on the company or the products that they purchase. Employee, this is the interaction between the customers and suppliers. And this is kind of how people get an opinion from the outside in view of the company. And then the corporation, they should be responsible for replying back to reviews, good and bad, and having good communication skills and review replies, making sure that they're answering all of them, both the good and the bad, and being quick and prompt to each consumer review.
In this section, we'll discuss how power can be used ethically. First, we'll start at the top. Positive leadership creates a culture in the workplace. It is essential that this is based on positive relationships with employees. This ensures a strong workplace chemistry. Next, we'll examine the organization's vision. We work based on someone else's vision, so it's beneficial that the company or organization has a healthy vision to be executed by management. Then we have goal-oriented management. Goals establish marks or join ideas in a window of time. Setting goals establish a healthy work environment, increase problem-solving abilities as the employees aim to meet these goals. The idea of fairness in the workplace spawns from one of the oldest documents in our country. That's right, the Constitution, which extends fairness in terms of our democracy, where everyone has a say in the process. Fair treatment in the workplace, knowing the organization works with you, will increase motivation, decrease the chances of unsatisfied workers, and will let the worker feel appreciated at the place of business. In terms of establishing a positive community, one of the things we want to look at first is the organizational identity. Now, what that is how the employee feels it belongs there. How into the company are they? When the company fails or succeeds, do they feel that it's their own failures or success? How into the company are they? Is there cooperation in the organization, or is it just dependence? And what that means is, are the leaders willing to be hands-on there, or does someone knock on the door and ask for an answer and leave? Do you rarely see your boss? And our next point, which hinges on the last one a little bit, is the leader and management blend in. When they're in the room, is there an ominous feeling? Or do they feel like they're one of the team? And lastly, does everyone have a voice? Does everyone have a say in what they do? Now, these ethics or these ideas may not sound very big or important, but they're little steps to making everyday life in the workplace a pleasure for everyone. And when enacted properly, it's very beneficial to the company, to the managers, to the employees, and to the consumers as well.
That's all we have for today, and we wanted to thank everyone again for watching our presentation.